This is the award-winning Brooklyn College News,
covering New York City and your neighborhood.
A popular tourist attraction faces demolition.
Stop and frisk, the call for police oversight.
Have food vendors draw tourists to a Brooklyn neighborhood. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Brooklyn College News. I'm Susana Rojas.
And I'm Charles Baldini. Our top story, artists and neighbors fight to save a local attraction.
The owners want to tear it down and build something new. Jonathan Donaldson reports.
You can see it from the 7 train. 5 Points stands out in the heart of Long Island City. Colorful graffiti art covers the huge warehouse. Names, tags, monsters, creatures, anime, visions of imagination, and some we recognize.
We cater to these young, upcoming artists.
Jonathan Cohen, known by his tag name Mears1, is the volunteer curator, and he assigns wall space for the artists.
I'd say we're probably the #1 tourist attraction in Long Island City.
The powerful images bring locals and tourists from all around the world. They take pictures and treat it like an art exhibit or museum.
This is like fine art on walls, that should be in museums and galleries.
It's a place that we know in France. It's in France on the net. We can see that it's the most famous site of graffiti in USA.
But 5 Points is in jeopardy. The owners want to tear it down. They plan to build luxury condos.
We can rightly call them slumlords.
Fireworks flew at a community board meeting. Artists and neighbors oppose the redevelopment. They want the board to deny the demolition permit.
We're there every day. It's a network of volunteers. Every day is a day where you have to watch the building, make sure people don't go inside, make sure people don't get hurt.
They say owners are neglectful, pointing out debris, overflowing garbage, and spoiled food causing a stomach-turning smell.
The stench that comes from the loading dock smells like feces and a decaying corpse.
David Walkoff and his dad own the building. They say the debris isn't their fault.
Well, I think it's a very positive thing. Look, we're continuing to put the artists in. I think the neighborhood needs more critical mass to support the businesses, the local businesses that are around the area that are flourishing and popping up right now. And I think they would be even more better off with a building like the ones we're planning.
But many consider 5 Points a landmark, although it is not officially.
It should be considered landmark status.
I think it's really important that we preserve what we have. It's an institution. It's a very important piece of New York City culture.
I respect his wishes as a real estate developer, but sometimes you create something that's golden and not intentional or not intended, but you need to see the signs and recognize that. And that's the upsetting part.
The fight isn't over. It's up to the city to decide whether to approve the condo development. In the meantime, you can see the graffiti and attend events every Saturday. You can find out more on 5 Points Facebook page. Jonathan Donaldson, Brooklyn College News.
Demolition at Coney Island took out an iconic attraction. The world-famous Astro Tower created panic in Luna Park.
The tower swayed back and forth, forcing the park to close. I was there the day they made the decision. Luna Park's Astro Tower sways dangerously in the wind. Buildings department officials said it was unstable and shut the park.
Everyone's going to be here. How could you not be able to go on the Cyclone and the Wonder Wheel?
The shaking tower created a dangerous situation. Coney Island's famous rides, usually jam-packed during summer months, were closed to the public.
We're doing everything we can ahead of time to make sure that we don't have a problem.
Though the tower has always swayed, some locals noticed it getting worse and worse.
I seen it swerving tremendously too much. I said, no. I said, this is getting dangerous.
Inspectors from buildings and the fire department walked through the park to find out what was safe and what wasn't.
We all know that we are in the business of making sure people are safe.
That's why they closed the park and blocked off the entrance with yellow crime tape.
Let's hope that they get this stuff together, say it's G-rated, and they cut that yellow crime tape, throw open the gates, and get those rides going.
But city officials wouldn't let the park reopen unless the Astro Tower came down. Firefighters and private contractors dismantled the 51-year-old tower. The Wonder Wheel and other rides are up and running, but a giant part of our Brooklyn landscape is gone.
Blacks and Latinos continue to protest the stop and frisk policy. Some politicians want to set up a monitor to oversee the police department. I went to City Hall to get the story. In this home video, you see NYPD undercover officers conduct a stop and frisk in the Stapleton projects. Black and Latino men say police target them unfairly.
all the time. I mean, I've been stopped 6 times since I moved to New York City, and I've only moved to New York City 3 years ago.
He is one of about 532,000 stopped by police in 2012. 89% weren't arrested, according to the American Civil Liberties Union.
Justice!
On the steps of City Hall, many called for an end to profiling and supported a proposed law to provide oversight of the NYPD.
The law says that any police stop should be based on reasonable suspicion. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less.
The City Council passed legislation for a monitor, but Mayor Bloomberg is expected to veto it.
We stand united as people of color in this diverse city to say this law, these laws will make the police department better.
In the meantime, those stopped by police say it's unfair.
They just stopped me because maybe the way I look, maybe the way I dress, and just because I'm Latina. I just get stopped for no reason.
Mayor Bloomberg opposes a monitor for the police department and vows to veto the legislation.
The Supreme Court struck down the Defense of Marriage Act and gave LGBT couples the same rights as heterosexual couples. Taylor Baker reports.
Edie Windsor is a hero to the LGBT community.
Children born today will grow up in a world without DOMA, and those same children who happen to be gay will be free to love and get married.
After Edith Windsor's spouse died in 2009, the federal government demanded she pay $363,000 in taxes on the property and the income they shared. Although they married legally, the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, meant the government didn't recognize the marriage, and the inheritance was treated as income.
She decided, no, this isn't right. And that takes, especially for somebody at her age, 83 years old, to really go out there and say, I'm going to sue the federal government. I mean, that is really monumental.
She sued the government because she said the federal tax law should treat her like a spouse in a heterosexual relationship. The Supreme Court reviewed the case and agreed in a 5-4 vote, overturning DOMA. The ruling means LGBT married couples can file joint taxes, won't have to pay estate taxes, will get Social Security survival benefits, and VA benefits.
I am a gay man, and I am a father, and I am married. And today, my marriage is legally recognized, and the family that I have created with my husband and my son is more secure than ever before.
This is also a victory for children who grew up in LGBT homes, and it's a reassuring feeling for their parents. Taylor Baker, Brooklyn College News.
Many students face bigger student loan payments because Congress allowed interest rates to double. Ashika James reports.
It's just too much. It's unbelievable.
Dominique is upset that she may have to pay more money for her student loan after she graduates from college. In July, Congress allowed the interest rate on student loans to double. It goes from 3.4% to 6.8%.
I really worry about how I'm going to pay back the loans one day.
On average, the hike adds more than $2,000 to the student loan bill.
Now that jobs are not really as guaranteed out of college, the interest rate increasing is just really a problem. It's kind of discouraging people to go after their dreams, maybe after their dream school or anything like that.
But it's not over yet. There's still time for Congress to pass a law that rolls the rates back.
Congress could still pass a retroactive bill to freeze the rate at 3.4% to protect students from paying even more money.
Students hope that Congress will reconsider the impact of the increase and roll it back before the 2013 fall semester. Ashika James, Brooklyn College News.
Stay with us. We have a lot more coming up. Food displayed at the Jacob Javits Center benefits a good cause.
Nathan's annual hot dog eating contest is Coney Island's new sport. Welcome back. While Congress debates the pathway to citizenship, some immigrants passed all the hurdles. They took the oath of citizenship to become Americans. Charles Carr reports about the big day.
Raise your right hand.
They raised their hands and took an oath. 151 people became U.S. citizens at a ceremony at 26 Federal Plaza.
Happy today. Okay, every day.
Many waved American flags to celebrate. And for the first time, social media was a talking point at the ceremony.
We're asking people to tweet their photos and experiences from today using the hashtag July4Nats.
Some wept because loved ones couldn't attend the ceremony, and all listened to a recorded message from President Obama.
You've traveled a long path to get here. You've sworn a solemn oath to this country, and now have all the rights of citizenship.
In the same week, over 7,800 took part in similar ceremonies across the U.S. Charles Carr, Brooklyn College News.
There's also good news for women. More and more find jobs in non-traditional places.
Monica Rincon reports about women who put mechanical skills to work on the nation's airplanes.
It is challenging, but there's nothing that I can do that a man can't do.
Angela Paez climbs into the ceiling of an airplane to replace a broken electrical box. She is an airline mechanic.
I chose to be in the aviation industry as an aircraft mechanic because I like the whole experience. I like to be able to do the same things that men think women can do.
Angela is the lead mechanic for a crew of Panasonic Avionics. Out of 332,000 airline mechanics, only 2.2% are women, according to the FAA. Jason Diaz is Angela's co-worker.
I feel like as time goes by, there's an increase of women who are joining the industry.
Angela is in and out of planes before passengers fill the seats. She fixes electrical equipment and supervises others in planes owned by 5 airlines.
I think it's something to be very proud about because even though we have a small group of girls, they're very good workers and they do a really great job. So it also gives a challenge for the guys.
I've worked alongside females and they work just as well as a male would be working.
I think I chose the right career. I like what I do. I like my job. I like to be able to do and find things that they may seem challenging for a guy and be able to do it myself.
Angela discovered her passion at Aviation High School in Long Island City. Shop classes give hands-on training and is a 5-year program. Ralph Santiago is the assistant principal.
I do recommend this field for women, and I recommend all technical fields for women to go into.
I am also a graduate of Aviation High School and one of the few female airline mechanics. It's a great job and I recommend it to other women. Monica Rincon, Brooklyn College News.
New York City's tech community teamed up with health professionals to develop new ways to help patients. Arinthia Robinson has the story.
Innovators and health professionals sit and listen as winners present new technology in healthcare for New Yorkers. The Economic Development Corporation funded the program that will improve patient care around the city. AdhereTech, one of the 10 winning companies, uses a wireless smart pill bottle to monitor the way patients take their medication.
During the optimal dosage time, the bottle glows blue, sort of inviting the user over, saying right now is the right time for you to take your pill. And then once that dosage time has been missed, the bottle blinks red. It also beeps.
To aid patients, the BioSignal Group offers an FDA-approved device to help detect changes in brain activity during an emergency.
This is a device that's FDA approved, as we said. It could be used in the emergency department, in the EEG lab, in the epilepsy monitoring unit, in the intensive care unit.
Village Care, another winner, gives patients a high-tech way to communicate with medical providers without the use of language.
An innovative bedside communication system that allows patients to touch an icon on an iPad or tablet to communicate their needs back to a clinician in the subacute facility.
Each company will receive a portion of the $1 million in funds to pilot their program. The long-term goal is to encourage the development of new healthcare technologies. Arinthia Robinson, Brooklyn College News.
City Harvest collects 42 million pounds of unused food from restaurants and others in New York City's food industry.
It donates what it gathers to 600 community food programs. Tanisha Sweet visited the Jacob Javits Center and saw the volunteers in action.
Vendors wrap up on the final day of the Summer Fancy Food Show at the Jacob Javits Center. This couple grows fruit and sells it as dried snacks.
We grow cherries, blueberries, raspberries.
17,000 vendors from all over the world showed food here during the 3-day show.
It's been a great show, a great experience. It's always good to be in New York.
And there's a great amount of food left over. See that guy with the City Harvest shirt? He's on a rescue mission.
And so far, since 1997, we've rescued over 1.5 million pounds from this show.
City Harvest collects food from restaurants and stores and distributes it to food pantries and shelters throughout New York City.
You know, we have tons of volunteers. There's 300 here today. This is our largest rescue.
Volunteers collected and pushed carts full of food and loaded it onto City Harvest trucks.
So I thought it was a really good mission, so I thought it'd be a good way to use my time during summer break.
City Harvest is always looking for volunteers and new donors. If you're interested, you can check out the website at cityharvest.org. Tanisha Sweet, Brooklyn College News.
Stay with us. We have a lot more coming up.
Pianos, great music, and a lunchtime treat in Midtown.
Thank you for giving me blood.
Thank you for giving me blood.
Thank you for saving my life.
Give blood to the Red Cross and change a life.
Welcome back. It's a hot dog eating contest, it's a show, it's a sport. Coney Island's famous annual event lived up to its own hype. Charles Carr was there.
Bright sun, steamy 87 degrees, a crowd enters the staging area for the 38th Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. Adoring fans and old-timers arrived early to get front row seats before thousands descend on Stillwell and Surf Avenues. It's a mouthful just describing everything that happens. Coney-themed folk music. A mini Michael Bublé sang. There was an angelic choir and Frankfurter-inspired rapping. Children ate the first hot dogs in a Meat Eaters competition. Then the women's division eat-off began. It might be disgusting to watch, but the highest-ranked female and male competitors use similar techniques to engulf tens of dogs. They separate dog from bun, soak the bun in water, squeeze the water from the buns, then scarf down the soft bread, followed by the hot dogs. Sonia Black Widow Thomas downed 36 3/4 hot dogs and buns, winning the title for the third consecutive year. Master of Ceremonies George Shea rose above the crowd. The showman introduced the main event with great drama.
The contest begins! Brooklyn!
Reigning champion Joey Chestnut entered in style, carried by the show staff. Chestnut took his place and the eating began. Chestnut couldn't shake his nearest rival, Matt Stoney. They were less than a dog apart for much of the first few minutes. He gained a 4-dog lead at the halfway mark, building it up to a 16-dog headway near the end.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Chestnut broke his previous world record with an astonishing 69 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Winning the coveted mustard yellow belt for the 7th consecutive year. It isn't pretty. It looks downright painful. It can't be healthy, but it is a majestic sight to behold. The day ended with a donation to charity. Nathan's Famous gave 100,000 hot dogs and buns to the Food Fund for New York. Charles Carr, Brooklyn College News.
Legendary folk musicians performed at a recent concert. Sharina Nadura reports they want to reconnect folk music with activism.
Cheers and applause for a legend. 94-year-old Pete Seeger made his way slowly to the microphone. The folk singer joined other famous folk musicians. 93-year-old Oscar Brand blew him a kiss while Josh White Jr. beamed. Everyone joined Pete Seeger to sing Quiet Early Morning. The concert in the Museum of the City of New York aimed to raise money for an exhibit to honor the New York folk music tradition.
The exhibit explores New York's central role in fueling the folk music revival of the 1950s and 1960s. And the exhibition aims to show exactly why New York became the focal point of the revival.
At the concert, this moment between Josh White Jr. and Oscar Brand seemed so sweet.
See, you played louder and now you got it.
More than 300 people watched the exchange in the small theater. Organizers hope to connect the folk music and activism of the 50s and 60s with current activist movements. Artists like Pete Seeger and Oscar Brand used music to protest against social injustice, for civil rights, and against the Vietnam War.
It has always been, and I go back 5,000 years, it has always been the folk artists, the folk writers who bring the songs of social conscience to society.
But on this night, the music and the special performances took center stage.
The concert was phenomenal. It had people dancing in the aisles, including me. Sharina Nadura, Brooklyn College News.
Great music fills the air in Bryant Park to help take away the office blues. Ashika James reports about the concert series that office workers love.
A little bit of jazz, ragtime, and even boogie-woogie, all while you eat lunch in the park. In the summer, Bryant Park offers free lunchtime summer concerts. It creates a musical oasis in the middle of the city.
We try and create an atmosphere so that when you're walking through, you have a place to relax, and it's as though you're in someone's living room.
The concert series started in 2003 after the head of Bryant Park heard a pianist playing outside a restaurant.
I said, the people are having such a wonderful time here. Why don't we do free piano performances by piano greats in Bryant Park? So luckily the clubs are closed at 12:30 in the afternoon. They have nothing else to do, so they come with us.
International Hall of Fame jazz pianist Junior Mance is one of the 23 in this year's series.
I enjoy it. It's the only time I ever play outside for anybody.
People in the park say it's a great escape.
Somewhere to hide away for a few minutes before we have to go back to the grind.
I keep coming back, for lunch and just to kind of relax and move away from work and the stress and stuff. So it's a great way to do that.
The outdoor concerts run for 21 weeks. They start in mid-May and end in early September. Ashika James, Brooklyn College News.
New restaurants seem to pop up in Brooklyn every month, but there's a long tradition of great food at the Red Hook Ball Field. Karen Mendoza reports.
Roasted corn on the cob with cheese. It's popular here at the Red Hook Ball Field. There's plenty of food to choose from, almost too much. The Latin American vendors draw a regular crowd every weekend.
I'll have a little bit here, a little bit there.
Cooks prepare their home-style recipes from countries in Central and South America. Cesar Fuentes represents the vendors.
The word tradition, I'd say the word authenticity, the word uniqueness. Okay, it's three elements that actually have come to make the Red Hook food market what it is today.
Food vendors started serving at the ball field park in the 70s. Soccer players brought big crowds and more vendors. They've survived attempts to force them out and won legal permits and health department approval. Now the trucks attract tourists.
My girlfriend's father's in town. He's from Oklahoma and he heard about it.
Paul is from Pennsylvania. He bought a mango on a stick sprinkled with spices and tried other Latin American comfort foods.
We tried the pupusas and tacos.
How are the pupusas?
Very good.
The most popular eats are Mexican classics with a twist and Salvadorian pupusas. What's a pupusa?
Tortilla, right? With you can choose which meat, with cheese or pork or chicken or vegetables. It's stuffed. That's my understanding of a pupusa. And they put cabbage on it.
Others have their favorites.
Goat taco. It was it's almost like pulled pork, but it was goat instead, and just with a little bit of cream and some cheese on top of it, a little salsa. Very, very good.
Red benches are perfect for families to sit and enjoy their food while their kids play in the park.
I like the authenticity of the food as opposed to some of what goes on elsewhere in Brooklyn.
Now it's time to cool off with their popular drink, horchata. If you want to experience great food and drinks, make sure to get here before their closing season in October. Karen Mendoza, Brooklyn College News.
A festival of African culture filled the Fort Greene Park recently. Nandi Barker reports.
Baba Bill invites visitors into a tent to pray to ancestors. He joined about 100 exhibitors who set up tents and tables in Fort Greene's Commodore Barry Park.
We must always honor our ancestors.
African artists and culture filled the park. The annual festival showed off traditional food, fashion, beautiful people, and the arts. Eric, an artist from West Africa, says these paintings reflect his childhood.
I'm trying to capture the essence, the musical essence in a painting.
Steps away, we heard what sounded like a jackhammer. We found an artist pounding metal to make fresh handcrafted jewelry. These errands are my favorite.
But a lot of people don't believe that our stuff is made by hands or by us.
Young urban designers also displayed their stuff here. And there was more. Great smelling food almost called out to you as you walked around. The festival is a one-week event that attracts people from all around the world.
It's something that I enjoy coming to every year. I never miss it.
Nandy Barker, Brooklyn College News.
Russell Midori found some Brooklynites practicing a different kind of sport. He takes us to a pool competition in Williamsburg.
Cuts, banks, combinations, caroms. Here, they can be worth money.
First place winner of the Stickman 8-Ball Challenge, $70.
Andre Ramos hosts the Stickman 8-Ball Challenge in Williamsburg every Saturday. The players fill LP and Harmony Billiard Bar for serious competition.
Well, this is a good place to hold a tournament because there are so many players here that play so well, and they look forward to challenging themselves and others in an environment that offers a little more attention than normal.
Today, 14 people showed up to take their shot at the money. Signing up is easy. $10 and you're in.
Here's a registration form. Just fill that out.
What do you need here?
Just your first name.
Players draw cards to determine who plays who in the first round. Monica Sirac says the Stickman competition makes her a better player.
In this tournament, I play against extremely good players that it forces me to be much more careful. And there is a high level of competition, but it's a very friendly competition.
The players you find here aren't just trying to make shots like your average bar player. They're considering techniques to gain better cue ball position on their next shot. Or they might even avoid sinking a ball to leave their opponents in a tough position.
I think you're safe, buddy.
Players treat the pool table like a chessboard. The one who develops the best strategy usually wins. Today, it's Elvin Estevez.
Congratulations.
Even though he is one of the youngest players here, he went undefeated for the entire challenge. What was his strategy? He'll never tell.
I don't know, I just try to make every shot. Just try to concentrate.
Along with the money, Elvin wins bragging rights for at least a week. He's also eligible for the July 27th Challenge of Champions. Reporting from Williamsburg, Brooklyn, I'm Russell Midori.
That's it for our newscast. I'm Susana Rojas.
And I'm Charles Baldini. Thanks for watching.